Alright, let me explain what this video is about to be. Have y'all ever went online for something and you're like, this is my intention going online. This is what I am specifically looking for. And the next thing you know, you are going down a rabbit hole that just enthralls you and you forget originally what you just went online for. Now, we made a video recently talking about Deb, and yes, we are going to be talking about Deb again today because with new information that was acquired on this channel about both of her parents, I feel like we have added context looking back on certain clips that she posted a long time ago on her channel. Just seeing how Eugenia lives under that roof with Deb and what goes on behind the scenes, we don't know, like I said, but just from what we hear on the internet from things that she has said about her family, it genuinely gives me Truman Show vibes, where everything is just so put together and it's strictly for the show and everybody's crazy, but they make that one individual who's going through that Truman experience feel like they're the crazy one. There's also a clip I want to include because y'all are internet detectives. Damn it, y'all do a really good job. I even said myself, if I needed a private investigator for something, I'm going to my subscribers. Now, Eugenia had said something in an older clip, and this is going to be the first one that we play and talk about very, very briefly because I'm going to get y'all's thoughts and opinions on it. I want y'all little detectives to do your little detective thing on the internet and see if there's anything behind it, because in my opinion, I was like, this could be like some form of like cryptic message. Is she referencing an area or a certain location in a city or a building? I don't know. Had my gears a turning. Then we're going to be taking a look at a clip that, in my opinion, is an assault. And we talked about this in an earlier clip. It ended up getting copyrighted on my channel. Try to leave it up. Ran into issues with Superbam Inc. If y'all have been here for a while, y'all know I've had a long history with Superbam. So after we take a quick look at this clip, I'm going to give a small, probably 20 to 30 seconds of commentary on it. Then we're going to move on to this, what I believe was a bad time for Eugenia. Then we're going to be taking a look at a video of her basically outing her family members for being pretty much up on the weird scale.
First friend was a girl named Emma City, and I used to take ballet classes, so I met her in ballet class. And now I have no idea what she's doing in her life, but hopefully she lives in like a really good city since her name is Emma City.
Now, I had originally Googled Emma City to see if that was a location in New York, and it turns out to be a person who works with a law firm who was also involved with Milbank LLP, which is another law firm. Hear me out, because I'm not gonna lie, this video is a little bit rushed. I did not sit down and do my due diligence when it comes down to research, but hear me out. We've always said there has to be lawyers involved, people have signed NDAs, she has personal drivers, law enforcement is possibly paid off. There has to be somebody who's behind the scenes, like working with the family to help keep them as off the radar, as undetectable, wiping slates clean, doing the whole shebang to basically keep the family private. And in earlier content I used to do on Eugenia, which is something that I think I'm going to start diving back into, is basically things that she had said in prior content that could be like her way of being like, I need to say this, but I need to say it in a way that's not going to be detected by my family. And in a video we're about to be getting into, y'all are going to see why I'm saying this. Now, she has said a few things that it's like, why would you admit this? And why would you be talking about this on camera unless you want attention drawn to it? Just like how she says Deb is a good mom, she is the best mom, she's great, she's incredible, Deb don't deserve the hate that is thrown her way. Yet she has intentionally went out of her way in the past to leave certain moments on her videos and not edit them out of Deb being rather questionable. Anyways, I just found that interesting. I wanted to bring it up so the IPIs, aka Internet Private Investigators, can just do their thing, see if there's any tea behind that. If not, I'll do my little bits of research later on. I just didn't have the time to now, but that did catch my attention. I wanted to talk about it with y'all. Now, we have a clip of her basically talking about some things that should never happen to anybody that we're going to be playing at the end of this video, but now we're going to be getting into her talking about her family members. And again, when I watched this, I was like, this is giving me Truman vibes, and we need to discuss everything that she's saying about her family. To make this crazy, somebody literally commented and said, is anybody else here on this video looking for clues? And I was thinking to myself, yes, I am.
It must just run in my blood or something, because I've kind of realized that all of my family is kind of crazy too, in their own ways, and I just figured I would talk about some of the ways in which they are crazy today. My dad doesn't tend to ever remember my birthday or my brother's birthday, or basically any birthdays or things like that, I guess. I think he knows my mom's birthday, let's hope so. Then my mom My crazy mom. She's cool though. She always sings to the dog and she makes up like her own songs. And she sings this song to him over and over again. It's a song that she totally came up with on her own. I don't think you guys want to hear it, so I don't think I'm gonna sing it. But these are the words. I go to the river, I go to the sea. And she used to do this like rap kind of thing where she would be like, to the sea. But now she's changed this instead into more words. To see the one I love, to see the buzz. Because the dog's name is Buzz. So I don't know if it's some kind of like weird like bestiality kind of song. Let's hope not. Bestiality is not a good thing. At least I don't think it's a good thing because I like animals, so I don't encourage bestiality.
Now, this is something that's really weird to me that caught my attention like 100% when I first seen it and caught it again now because what the do you actually mean? I'm sorry, but that's just weird and nobody's coming out of the woodwork on a video that they're going to post for thousands of people to see saying, yeah, I don't know if that's something that she's into, but let's hope not because that's really weird. Why are you saying this? And I know what some people might be thinking because I'm not going to lie, my brain even went here too. The humor was different back then, but given Eugenia and her crazy Cooney family and all the things that go on that is behind the scenes that she doesn't talk about, but also behind the scenes that she does bring up on videos sometimes, it's very uncomfortable. Now, we know her family is basically a walking red flag, but everything we're going to hear in this video just kind of solidates that. I know the word solidify is the proper one, but solidate just felt better to say.
She also comes up with all these weird nicknames for the dog, such as Nane. I don't really get where you get Nane from the name Buzz. I think one day she suddenly was thinking about Lilo and Stitch, and ever since then, she's been calling the dog Nane more than she calls him its actual name. In the past, she's had other weird names for the dog also, such as Boons and Boonsy. My grandma's probably the craziest of everybody. She will always just call the house on different holidays and wish us a happy whatever day that it's not. I think it was Halloween, and she called and she was like, Merry Christmas. She'll also call on days when it's not any of our birthdays and she sends to think it's her birthday and she's like, happy birthday! Actually, just the other week, she called my mom and she wished her happy birthday when my mom's birthday wasn't even for another 3 weeks.
Now, this is something I want y'all to keep in mind moving forward for the video because it was known that her grandma did have dementia, so unfortunately, she did not, her memory wasn't memorying. And oh my goodness, that sounded so evil. That's not truly what I meant, that's just the way that I described it. That's awful. I'm sorry, but with dementia, it's a part of it. So she probably didn't remember the birthday. She probably thought it would be a day that it really wasn't a day. My grandma did have dementia as well, so it was a struggle. So I understand that. But I want y'all to keep this in mind moving forward with the video because she does bring something else up about the grandma that Deb wasn't too kind on.
My brother is 17 years old. I know a lot of people like Disney, but he's like obsessed with Disney. We go to Disney World kind of a lot because he always just like begging to go to Disney World and stuff like that. He actually goes around and meets like all the characters and he gets so excited over it. I'm kind of convinced he does think they're real. At least he doesn't like Frozen because Frozen is incredibly annoying.
Yes, that is my washer in the background. Sue me for it. Fucking pin me to the stakes. It gets noisy in the background of my videos sometimes, y'all. I'm a very, very busy individual, and especially recently, I feel like the only time I've really had to make content is whenever I'm at home, doing things that keep me at home, and I'm like, let me try my best to do this while I'm here. Now, she just talked about Disney, was not a big fan of it. She even said in other videos how she doesn't really care that much for Disney, but something that interested me here to talk about is her saying that Frozen is incredibly annoying. Well, she doesn't feel the same way anymore because there has been newer videos since this where Deb will bring up, well, Frozen is great, and Eugenia's like, yeah, like Frozen is awesome, and Deb had said something about like what's one of your favorite songs or like what's a song that you like to listen to, and Eugenia couldn't think of one, so Deb literally said, oh, what about Let It Go from Frozen? And Eugenia was like, that's an incredible song. It's literally like Eugenia changes her personality literally just to make Deb happy. She does certain things for Deb that she wouldn't do in her own time just because her mom is overseeing everything, allegedly. And she just wants to make her mother proud and just become this little doll that her mom has built. Now, I seen a short that popped up the other day. That's why I'm replaying this clip here. It was uploaded by Jadedness, and she has a really good eye when it comes to looking at things on Eugenia's content. And she's seen Deb in the mirror here, and this is something that I did not see yet. I did have all these videos saved to my phone because I wanted to talk about the outfits, the timeline that these could have been filmed and done. And she catches Deb right here, filming her daughter, just peering in through that mirror. Now, this is something that I've talked about prior, how basically Deb will film everything for Eugenia, film her daughter at all types of angles and in all different styles to help her for content. And we always talked about, why would a parent be, one, encouraging this, two, being idle on the sidelines, watching this happen, let alone filming it. So basically, whenever Eugenia can't get the proper angle, even though tripods are a thing, and she could easily just set her phone up on a tripod, which if I was Deb, I'd be like, I am not filming you in this state. Get your ass a tripod and get out of this house if this is what you choose to do with yourself in your life, because I'm not going to encourage this. It's horrible. I've talked about it before, just my standpoint and opinion. I would do everything that I could, but ultimately it would be Eugenia's decision, and I would not enable her to be in the house if this is what she chose to do. But when Eugenia needs a cameraman, Deb literally is like, I got this. I got it. And she just smiles away and films her daughter like she's proud of what's going on. So in the last video I made about Deb, it's literally the very last video on this channel. Feel free to go check it out. I had a lot of questions from that one video in particular. And with the updated knowledge that we have on the family, on Eugenia's possible bio mom, on the dad's drunken history, this is all allegedly, again, for legal reasons. There is a lot of new questions that popped up watching that video for a second time than I did originally months ago. But a big question that I have, because seeing Deb's enjoyment being involved in the content back then, not knowing Eugenia's career would be at the stake it is now with her health issues and everything that she has done on the internet and said on the internet about her family, Deb probably thought she would be sharing spotlight with Eugenia to some extent. It even gave me a little bit of family channel vibes to an extent when it came down to Eugenia and her mom doing specific videos. One of my biggest questions was, one, is Deb doing this on purpose to humiliate her daughter? But two, is Deb actually jealous of Eugenia, and is that why she has enabled this and spiraled it to this point?
I guess my grandma also has her little Disney fan side as well, because she is obsessed with Hannah Montana. Not Miley Cyrus, but Hannah Montana. Way back in the day when Miley was totally different and she was Hannah Montana and she was going on her best of both worlds thing, my grandma wanted to go to that tour so badly. She actually cried when my mom wouldn't buy her a Hannah Montana ticket. I honestly don't even know most of my family members. I really only know like my immediate family, like my parents and my grandma for the most part, and my brother, obviously. But
now, if this was anybody else, literally anybody else who sat down and said, look, I don't really know most of my immediate family members because I don't know most of my family members, but my immediate family, I'd be like, girl, same. But I have met family. But Eugenia has been so sheltered from literally everybody, and the theory that I've had on this channel before is, what if something happened to her that the family wants to cover up, so they're trying to seclude her from everybody possible, even outings with normal individuals who aren't her family, such as, aka she had a driver who took her to literally everything and supervised everything. To my knowledge, there is always a lawyer present when anybody like talks to her, basically, whenever it comes down to like, okay, content wise, not just like everybody in general, but content wise. Y'all remember when Shane came to like do that video with her, there was allegedly an NDA involved where they couldn't really talk about what was going on in the house other than what Eugenia would say. As well, when Jacqueline Glenn tried to get her help and Deb flipped out, called her the biatch word, and, you know, it all stems to one thing in my opinion. Something happened to Eugenia, probably by a family member or someone who the family wants to protect, and they don't want her to get recovery, because if you would go to therapy for trauma, they'd want you to get to the bottom of that trauma and unpack it so you could move forward with your life. What if they don't want her to go to therapy and get recovery because that would expose somebody the family's trying to protect?
I have occasionally seen my aunt and my uncle. Last time I saw them, they were like telling me how I should leave the internet because the internet is just such a scary world. My life would suck. Whenever they go on vacations, all they tend to want to do, I don't really go with them, but they were telling us this, is they like to go and like tour grocery stores. This is all just really uninteresting me. I really don't find grocery stores interesting in the least bit. I don't at all find them exciting to go to. So for me, that was a little bit weird to hear.
Personally, there's like two different reasons why I would think that they would want to do this, which, to be fair, I don't think they're really out here taking vacations and just touring grocery stores. Maybe they were bringing it up to Eugenia specifically because maybe they had, you know, thoughts of maybe she's having food either withheld from her, or even if it is her own doing, maybe she would see something that intrigued her enough to want to buy. Now, I've seen a theory basically where people are saying Deb is like withholding food from her, but I don't really necessarily think that that is the case. I think that personally, I think Deb is a stress factor to Eugenia, and possibly one of the main reasons as to why she's not doing the things that she should be doing to take care of herself. Yeah, I'm trying to... People have been coming at me like, why are you censoring yourself? But because YouTube dislikes a lot of the things that we talk about. Yeah, but personally, like I said 1,000 times, I think something happened to her, whether it was by a family member or a family member close friend, like a close family friend. And that's why they're doing this, to protect that person. We don't know who it is, and this is all alleged. But maybe that's why Eugenia has what she has. And I think Deb also being somebody who's like a protector of this person, again, this is allegedly, but we've seen stuff in the past on video proof where pretty much, how can I say this? Deb will deny certain things that has happened in the past that Eugenia specifically remembers. And one of the biggest examples that I have, because it's one of the ones that really stuck out to me, was that Nutcracker thing that she had spoke about, where somebody, when she was very young, would dress up as the Nutcracker and sneak into her bedroom, and her own words didn't say, oh, they would just come into my bedroom at night. She would say that they would sneak. And she said that she had brought it up to her mom, and her mom denied this ever happening, which is very suspicious. And she even stated that this happened when she was very young, and also said that when she was very young, she had a fear of older guys, and found it very creepy when they would hit on her. Like, what? Like, this doesn't just happen with your imagination. Something happens to stem that fear. So that aunt and uncle might have said that to probably try to get her to go with them to a grocery store out of her stressor environment and pick something that she would like to snack on away from the stress. And also they could have potentially thought that Deb was withholding food. Again, this was a allegation that was made against her by the internet, which I don't know if I necessarily fully wholeheartedly believe that. I think that that could be a factor. I know that Deb is a factor to this, again, allegedly, but we don't know if that's true or not.
My mom will always do this thing where she starts freaking out and she thinks she lost her credit card or a receipt or something like that. So, oh my gosh, huge B. Oh my gosh, what is that thing? Alright, so anyways, she'll start like freaking out and she'll be like, where's my credit card? She kind of freaks out how I just freaked out when I just saw that bug. Legit, like 2 seconds later, she realizes it's right in her purse. Then she's like, oh, there it is.
Now, I think this is something we can all relate to. I think that, I know I've had these moments where I've been out, it's been a busy day, I've stopped at multiple stores, I get home, go to pay a bill, my credit card is misplaced, and I'm like, did I leave it at a store? Did I leave it in my car, jacket, pocket? Is it misplaced in my wallet? Is it gone? You know, and I have these moments where I'm like, where is my credit card? It's a hassle to get a new one. So, I've had those freak out moments where I'm like, where the fuck is my card? Then I find it, and I'm like, great, I freaked out for nothing. But I think, even though we can all have these moments, I think it's safe to say, Deb has been known to have a very unstable personality. And not just Deb, but I think it's kind of telling that she's going over the family members that are close to her, that she knows and associates with, and they're all pretty off. Deb is very unstable, we all know that. The dad had a history with alcohol, allegedly. This is videos that we have made in the past. Feel free to go check those out. Shameless promotion. Then the grandmother, who, again, she did have dementia, so, yeah, I'm not going to hold her to certain standards. But Eugenia did say, and y'all, this was a really long time ago, before it was announced that the grandma had dementia, which, of course, symptoms and changes in behavior can happen prior to the diagnosis. So, again, I'm not really trying to speak too much on the grandmother, but I do think it is telling as well that she had this borderline obsession with Hannah Montana, as stated by Eugenia, and cried when she could not get concert tickets to Hannah Montana. Then there's the brother, Chippity Chip. There's really not much I want to say there, because he has a problematic history as well in that household, specifically with Eugenia, and he was on my suspect list, I'm not gonna lie, for a period of time, because he would draw her, like, anatomy, pretty much, and we talked about how uncomfortable that was. Like, he would draw her in really skimpy outfits on a pole, a candy cane pole, and write ho 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 next to it. Not Santa Claus's ho ho ho, but ho, you know what I mean, with the E at the end. There was also an instance with the brother where she basically did an apartment tour in LA when they had moved out to LA for a period of time. This is when her brother was attending animation college, or college for animation, that's probably the better way to say it. And what had happened was, it was in my opinion, what I believed it was a 2-bedroom apartment, but Chip, like, preferred her bedroom. So he would come in there and take over. She would have to leave her own bedroom because her brother went in there and, like, took it over. And she also stated that he would always use her bathroom to get ready for college. So she would also be pretty much kicked out of that. It was an interesting video, not gonna lie. Something interesting about that, too, is how she titled it her apartment tour, but only did a tour of her room and the back balcony, the back porch of that apartment, because in her words, she couldn't necessarily do an apartment tour, even though that's what the video was going to be for, because her mother, Deb, and her brother was currently there, and they did not like to be on camera. And this can also back up the theory that Deb kind of keeps her in a certain space, doesn't let her explore other spaces. There was that time where she basically called her mom and asked if it was okay and had to get permission to get her own Nintendo system that was upstairs. Also, the other instance is a very popular one where she could not even go outside to look at the moon. And when she tried to open the doors, bells went off and Deb stopped her. And potentially her way of saying, let's do an apartment tour and show off one room is probably her way of being like, yeah, this is our apartment, but this is pretty much my apartment, this bedroom, because this is a space I'm practically only allowed to be in.
Whenever she hears a song, or even sometimes when she's singing to herself, although her made up songs about her dog or whatever, she'll start doing all these super annoying dances. She does this kind of thing, and then she does this, and then she's just kind of like, oh yeah, guys. My dad saw that Twilight was one of the best-selling books back when Twilight was really big, so my dad actually decided to read Twilight, I'm guessing not intending that it was a book mostly made for 13-year-old girls. I kind of actually hate Twilight, to be honest. No offense if you like Twilight. He actually loved it, and he decided to read all 4 of the book series, even the sexual one. My dad is officially a Twi dad.
Now, I also have another video on the dad. I feel like when it comes to talking about him, he is a subject pretty much on its own. So when it comes down to making these videos, yes, he's included, but I'm not going to go over all that history because it is way too much to put into just this little bit of time frame that we have. So feel free to go back on my channel and take a look at all of the other videos that we have made prior about the dad, because they're actually very, very interesting, but also very off-putting. Her dad gives me terrible vibes, I'm just saying. But with that being said, he's a suspect in itself, allegedly. But with that being said, y'all, want to know every one of y'all's thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. Today's video probably seemed a little bit scattered, but like I said, I'm home today. I'm very busy, not just inside but outside, so it was probably a little bit scattered. Now, I wanted to make a video talking about the family because I got a comment on an old video that I did talking about all of her family members in one video, and somebody had commented and was like, oh, we need an updated video to this because that was posted a year ago and so much more information has come out about the family. Again, allegedly, that's my favorite word. So, allegedly, all this new information has come out about the dad. The mom as well was involved in some really shady shit with him. There was an attempted unleaving, and it was fairly bad. The brother as well, very suspicious. The whole family is really off and something else, but I wanted to make this video today to see what y'all think about anything that she said about her family, and I wanted to get y'all's thoughts and opinions of should I make an updated Cooney family documentary, because the one I did in the past, a lot of y'all were very intrigued about. But yeah, with all of that being said, let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below, and I will catch you in the next damn video. Alright, bye.